What movie is considered for kids, but has intense and dark moments that it shouldn't be? The Last Unicorn. Wore the VHS out when I was a kid, but didn't truly appreciate the darker moments until I grew up. That is one of my favorite movies. I always wondered why it was supposed to be a kids' movie other than maybe kids wouldn't pay attention to the story and only the animation. It was so dark and sad and full of heartbreak. The ending was a small consolation that things would be okay, but it was just a reminder of how terrible humans can be. It wasn't okay for the unicorn. She had to live the rest of her life as the only member of her species to know what love and regret were, due to her time spent as a human, while also knowing that she would never have that connection with anyone else ever again. The Secret of Nim, animal testing scene, scary owls with lamp-like eyes, bloody sword fights, and characters being crushed to death. The scene where she's desperately trying to save her little brick house from the mud because her babies are inside is probably the first moment I can remember experiencing massive anxiety. I can't. Original poster replies. In fairness, I don't think any of Don Bluth's movies should be considered for kids. They all focus on very dark themes that are too scary for kids, and this movie definitely falls in that category. All Dogs Go to Heaven was one of my favorite movies he's made as a kid, but it is too upsetting for me to watch after learning about Judith Barcy. R.I.P. Courage the Cowardly Dog, that was a pure nightmare fuel. That episode where you find out what happened to Courage's parents really broke me. Spoilers, Courage got his head stuck in a fence while playing with his dad, and they took him to a vet to cut him out. The vet then kidnapped Courage's parents and puts them in a rocket to launch them to the moon. Courage, only a puppy, tries desperately to free them, but he can't and in the end has to stand there and watch them launch away as he waves goodbye to them with a tear. Then he throws himself down a garbage chute to escape the evil vet, which is how the old couple find him. The vet then, in the present, kidnaps the old lady and tries to launch her to the moon, and Courage saves her, all while having PTSD flashbacks of his parents. Return the slop. Or suffer my cures. I can't remember the name, but that claymation movie about the chickens trying to escape a farm that's turning them into chicken pies. Edit, thanks for the upvotes. And for informing me that the movie is Chicken Run. The movie starts off with a chicken getting her head cut off with an axe. What a way to start a kids' movie. Original poster replies. It was that moment I finally understood why Ginger was so desperate to get her family out of that farm. In the event of an emergency, stick your head between your knees and kiss your bum goodbye. Chicken Run. Loved that movie as a kid. The Burger King toys were awesome for this movie. They all combined into a big airplane if you got them all. I watched it with my younger cousin when I was 18 and I didn't realize how similar the plot played out to the Holocaust. Well, it's a takeoff of The Great Escape, so a POW camp instead of a concentration camp, but same bad guys. As a kid I thought Salad Fingers was meant for kids. I was pretty traumatized and strangely intrigued by it for years. I am a teacher and I had to explain to a student's mom that Sausage Party is not for kids. I remember my older sibling forcing me to watch it and me legit tearing up since it disturbed me so much as a kid. I've got a fish cooking in the oven, but I just can't reach it. I love the feel of rust on my salad fingers. My girl. He needs his glasses. He can't see without his glasses. Not dark or intense, but The Road to El Dorado is extremely sexual for a kids' movie, a lot more than I remember it being. This was one of my favorite movies as a child. It wasn't until much later as an adult that I noticed all those innuendos. They practically effed on screen. Original poster replies. I'm pretty sure oral sex is heavily implied in one scene. Miguel and Tulio were one of the funniest duos I have ever seen in a movie or show. Their exchanges as they attempt to con other people around them is always hilarious. Let your sword do the talking. Original poster replies. I will, and it will be loquacious to a fault. The Dark Crystal. Return to Oz. I'm 38 years old and I'm still horrified by the Wheelers. The Hunchback of Notre Dame is pretty scary for a Disney flick. The kiddos should consider themselves lucky that they deviated from Hugo's ending. Original poster replies. Frollo is the only Disney villain I've seen where it's heavily implied they're capable of rape. Especially given his unsettling and disturbing fixation on Esmeralda. I will die on the hill that Frollo is the scariest Disney villain. He's the most realistic one. There are so many people in power right now that are just like him and it's horrifying. Gaston is also really realistic in terms of his villainy in spite of having his reprise song be a whole lot more lighthearted compared to Hellfire. He's the hottest crap in a backwater town based on drummed-up accolades and shameless self-promotion, and his position as a villain basically springs from his small-mindedness, self-indulgence and vanity, mobilizing a mob of poorly educated peasants to attack something they fear. He's way less insidious than Frollo but just as dangerous. There is a joke that in most movies Gaston would be the hero, cocky and adventurous. A great fighter/hunter. Loves to sing improvised songs. Dashing and good-looking. On a quest to get the girl he likes to love him back. Fights a literal beast who kidnapped the girl's father. If he won that fight and was allowed to write the history afterwards, he'd come across as super heroic. I mean, obviously there is a lot more nuance and it's pretty clear he isn't heroic or misunderstood but just a self-centered butthole. But it's nonetheless interesting that superficially he ticks all the boxes of a traditional hero. And if he can't rape his victims, he'll settle for immolating them. There was an animated movie of Animal Farm, based off the novel by George Orwell. I absolutely loved watching it as a kid. I did not understand the symbolism. I saw it when it aired on TV a couple times during the day in the 90s. I remember during Christmas I was unwrapping a videotape and saw a pig on the cover. I was so excited. I didn't know my parents knew I like Animal Farm. But then I read the title on the VHS and saw it was Charlotte's Web. A movie I hated. Also, Charlotte's Web. A movie about a pig that is trying to be killed for its meat, depends on a spider and other farm animals to come up with words to impress people to not want to eat him. Does anyone remember the movie called The Pagemaster? The never-ending story is actually about dealing with grief. Bastien lost his mother at the start of the movie and depression is causing him to fail in his father's eyes. In the imaginary world, the nothing is consuming everything endlessly because Bastien will not confront his loss. Bastien's participation at the urging of the Empress is to confront the loss and participate in the world. Artax. That scene still messes me up. Chitty Chitty Bang Bang and Watership Down. These two are disturbing. The creepy Candyman kidnapper, yes. Rich to Terabithia, crap broke me. Original poster replies. Your friend Leslie's dead. That line shocked me to my core. I was in denial just like Jess was until he had his emotional breakdown and his father embraced and comforted him. I felt so bad for the kid, he had so much emotional weight on his shoulders. Original poster replies. He never got to tell her he loved her and he thought it was his fault that Leslie died, cause he didn't want to invite her to come on that day he spent with his music teacher. He believed he was going to go to hell for that. Original poster replies. Such a sad scene. I wasn't expecting any of that upon going to see it in the theaters. The Brave Little Toaster. Back when they made movies that really challenged developing emotions. That movie gave me nightmares. The AC unit dying, the vacuum running over its own cord, the desk lamp getting hit by lightning, blanky for just existing. I am a grown man who fundamentally cannot allow his vacuum to go over its cord because of this movie. Absolutely. The scene of the air conditioner exploding in anger and dying really troubled me as a kid. As well as the broken appliances, and the horrifyingly imposing magnetic crane near the end. James and the Giant Peach. The Mike Myers Cat in the Hat, absolute fever dream of a movie. This one is actually why live-action Dr. Seuss movies aren't made anymore. That movie is the epitome of so bad it's good. I had fun watching it. Pinocchio. I watched it and that whale scene gave me nightmares that still scare me. Watership Down. Can be scary as F, however it's pretty true to the book. Willy Wonka, are they on a boat ride or an acid trip? I couldn't find the clip, but Will Ferrell even lampooned that scene on SNL. He was like, hey, this movie's for kids? Home Alone and Home Alone 2. The scene where Kevin is walking through Central Park and gets in the taxi scared me as a kid. One word. Coraline. Posted this a few days ago but relevant. Always post this from /userowned_mangoes. The buttons were creepy, yes. But the creepy thing I got from that movie was how easy it was for people to prey on children. Coraline's parents weren't terrible, but they were preoccupied with things not her. This caused them to do what they saw as little actions, ignoring her when she wants to play, telling her to go entertain herself, rejecting her attempts to stand out, etc. etc. That, to her, seemed like really big actions. So from her perspective, she's being wronged and neglected when she's in a new unfamiliar place far from her old friends, and she's lonely and, as she sees it, feeling unwanted. Whilst her parents are too busy to notice. Then this other shows up, her other mother. A creepy stranger who's willing to fulfill all those roles Coraline's own parents won't. This predatory figure dotes on her, plays with her, gives her gifts and attention and positive feedback, and because of this, she consistently ignores all the little signs that scream get out, Coraline. She ignores them because she's young and naive and just desperately wants to be loved and given attention, even at the expense of her own safety. By the time she realizes she has to get out, it's too late. She's trapped, and the other is willing to do anything to get what it wants from Coraline. I think Coraline is a cautionary tale for parents and children alike, how the way adults and kids perceive the world is very different, and how predatory people are so very good at exploiting that. Reddit link. Coraline is also not for adults who just ate an eighth of shrooms. My 3-year-old watched Coraline and loved it. I had some regret when she started talking to her other mother and asking if we could make a tiny door in our house. Original poster replies. Stop motion animation can really make a lot of dark moments more unsettling, or is it just me? That and sewing effing buttons in people's eyes. Anything produced in the 80s to mid-90s and rated PG. All Dogs Go to Heaven, Return to Oz, and Neverending Story still haunt me. Who Framed Roger Rabbit is the defining movie of this subgenre. It makes a lot more sense once you understand film noir, but what 8-year-old is going to pick up on that? Then the movie is seen purely for the cartoon characters, and this movie is just not about cartoon characters. Fern Gully. Toy Story 2 is effed up, especially the part where Jessie gets left in a box on a hill. Made me scared to give away my toys or even give them all less than equal attention for years, even though I was pretty sure they weren't sentient. Nice write-up on the Toy Story series by /user Saint Baba, wish they'd do an update for the 4th one. The Toy Story trilogy is one of the greatest examinations of personal loss of our generation. Each one answers a question that the last one asked. In Toy Story, the movie concerns Woody's jealousy about Buzz stealing his place in Andy's life, and basically asks, how do I stop someone from falling out of love with me? But then it shies away from answering that question. It sort of drops it in favor of Woody and Buzz coming together. In Toy Story 2, the movie returns to that question, and answers very simply that you can't. You can't stop someone from falling out of love with you. And so you have to enjoy the time you have with them. You need to make every moment precious. You love well while you have the chance, and risk that pain, because it's infinitely better than locking your heart away, shielding it in a glass case where it can be safe and sterile and untouchable forever. Toy Story 3 then answers the question that Toy Story 2 didn't even know it was asking. Alright then, I let them go. And what do I do after that? And Toy Story 3 says, you live your life. You don't forever after walk backwards through life looking back at that relationship. You don't let it consume you. When you let them go, you let them go. You remember the good times, and maybe you remember the bad times too. And then you find new people to love, and that's okay. That's good. That's necessary, the only thing you can do if you don't want to become bitter and regretful and hateful and tied to the front of a garbage truck. Reddit link. The Bee Movie. Pee-wee's Big Adventure. Large Marge sent me. Ants. Edit. For those who don't know, there is a war scene where bugs are stabbed and decapitated. Additionally, there is an implied torture/rape scene of a female ant. Edit 2. Since people asked, clip of the torture/rape scene from ants, http://www.youtube.com/watch? V equals x4 and 69 SXWM. Web link. The Black Cauldron. Monster House. I can't believe how far I've scrolled and haven't seen this. Original poster replies. I read somewhere that in order to keep it to a PG-13 rating, every character that got eaten by the house needed to be brought back to life. Matilda, absolutely. Rango. Incredible movie, but not for kids. It is animated though. Also, Ratatouille. Not so much dark, but I feel like it connects with people who are in their late teens/20s. Beetlejuice. Maybe debatable as a kids movie, but it did have a PG rating and was later made into an after-school cartoon series. It has it all though: decapitated heads, a woman emanating smoke from her neck hole, depictions of suicide and one F-bomb. Thank you for watching. Please subscribe to be the first to know about Red Rabbit Reader's new videos. If you like our videos, please like them on YouTube and share them with your friends. We welcome your comments below. Press to start another of our videos.